And it worked. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Tony G. Parker, also known as Tony the Tapper. And I want to welcome you to tonight's live broadcast where we feature healers, practitioners, and people of interest. Okay, and this tonight's interesting person has been a practitioner for many years, and his name is Grant Connolly, who is an innovator, the developer of a method or modality of healing called Z Point, and which has acquired quite a significant following amongst the healing community. And I personally have tried it, and I incorporated it into my own personal daily practice, as well as treating my clients and friends. So, without further ado, here's Grant. No, I'm sorry, I'm just having fun here. But anyway, Grant, I just wanted, people always love to hear the backstory, the childhood story, you walking barefoot through the snow to go to school every day. So, what was your early life like? I mean, were there any indications that you would be developing, you would be a practitioner or a healer, or that you were inspired to venture into this area, or what was? Well, please carry on. Let's start with the story. Go ahead, Grant.
Well, it starts off. My father was born in Iowa.
Uh huh.
I was born in Canada, Peterborough.
Mm-hmm.
My father came up from Iowa to create or start a summer resort up in Algonquin Park, a wilderness area,
Mm-hmm.
and so I have an interest in interesting things, I suppose you could say, because he read a lot. He was a very intelligent man, and he was very interested in spiritual matters and things like that. Um, so I grew up listening to him talk about things that I found very interesting
Mm-hmm.
later in life, like hypnosis and um, helping people get over things, get past things, and whatever, including myself. I've had some traumas and things that I've had to learn to get past. And my earliest memories are learning how to hypnotize my friends and interested people and putting them into trance and
Really?
yeah, really, it's a very
That's
strange.
awesome. Was that like from the comic book ad, hypnotize your friends?
Yeah,
Send a quarter in at the back of the comic book, right?
essentially, that's about it. Yeah,
That's awesome. So did you buy the magic kit as well, or?
I had all that stuff.
But
Yeah,
was that? I mean, so was that like stage hypnosis, or what was
no,
that?
no, no, no. Just I wanted to learn how to do it, and I
Uh
wanted
huh.
to as they say, hypnotize your friends, amaze your relatives, and whatever. I just wanted to learn how to do that stuff,
Uh huh.
and I read widely about it, and I always had my face in a book, and that was my life when I was growing up.
Hmm.
And I grew up, as I said, I grew up in a wilderness area up in Algonquin Park,
Hmm.
and so I had plenty of time to. Um, my goodness, I'm getting a lot of people on here.
This is just the beginning. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Okay, welcome. So it was a cool way to grow up, and so I had very few friends, unfortunately, because we did spend a lot of time away,
Hmm.
up north. But it was interesting. It was
Hmm.
an interesting life.
Uh-huh. And so what was your background initially? Were you a caretaker, caregiver, a healer, a therapist, or were you right brain or left brain? What was your career path initially?
Well, originally I was trained in computers, and
Uh-huh.
I had a computer store, and uh, with my ex-wife and I repaired computers, and I was fascinated by computers, and I
Okay.
got a job at Sir Sanford Fleming College, which actually is just behind us,
Mm-hmm.
and I stayed there for a number of years and helped people get past their difficulties with computers,
Uh-huh.
which in, coincidentally or however you wish to put it, it really led me to Z Point. So
Really? Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
And what would be the connection to the idea that we're reprogrammable? Is that kind of
Essentially, and using the format of that computers talk in, if then else, whatever, and programs, and that we pick up these programs or are programmed by our parents and people around us,
hmm
and traumas and things like that. So that had a great deal to play in the direction of my life. So.
hmm Now, would that sounds almost like NLP. Did you study NLP? I'm thinking that's sort of the 70s or the 80s, right?
Well, I looked at it. It was interesting, but it
hmm
wasn't my bailiwick, you know.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
So how did you what was there a turning point or an epiphany where where we get closer to Z point? At what point how did you get sort of into Z point, or what came before Z point?
Well, I learned EFT. You call yourself Tony the Tapper. Well, I learned how to tap, and
Okay.
I learned
What's the time frame? Was that the 90s or the 80s or
90s.
uh-huh,
Yeah, that
okay.
was the 90s. And I was married, and all this happened. Oops. Okay. The bulk of things really took off in around the end of the 90s. And I was not a happy camper. I wasn't a happy person. I knew that I wanted to do something more with my life. I didn't know exactly what it was,
hmm
but I was very creative as far as things that I took on. And although the left brain and right brain, together, I suppose, but I enjoyed creating things, which I still do.
hmm
And so again, my job, I didn't really like it anymore.
hmm
I wanted to make some changes, and everything kind of just took off from there.
hmm
And my marriage ended, and unfortunately, and my job ended, and I moved to Toronto and met some very interesting people, and things just kind of took a life of their own from that point forward.
hmm So, when did you transition? I mean, I remember it's got to be the late 90s at one of Gary's workshops. I didn't see you there, but I did see a guy called, do you remember Larry Nims?
Larry Nims, Dr. Larry
And
Nims,
he
yeah,
said, I do EFT without tapping. I mean, he
yeah,
introduced himself as Mr. Tapless, and we all went,
Mr. Tapless, that's good,
you know,
yeah,
and we all went,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, but he was practicing, BSFF. He's still practicing. I mean, he's a
he's a
little
great
older.
guy,
He's a little
yeah,
older than you and me, but
mm,
I guess the thing was that it was that was kind of where people were going in your direction. I think that was one
yes,
of the persons who was going in your direction. Did you
yeah.
study BSFF as well, or?
Well, I looked at it,
Uh
and
huh.
actually I met him at a conference. I forget where it was now, but I liked him. He was a good man,
Mm-hmm.
nice man.
Uh,
And it just seemed awfully complicated.
right.
And so I just had this, one of these head slapper moments, where I realized I could take everything I'd learned about computers and the format about how programming works,
Right.
and I could apply it to this be set free fast,
Right.
and extend the functionality of it, because it was so complicated and
r-
complex
Right.
that although I'm sure it did work, it just so it I kind of helped it along in that sense, and I reprogrammed it, and I added to its functionality,
Well,
and
I mean, that's kind of almost the same way that Gary with Roger Callahan. Roger
yeah,
Callahan,
yeah,
was at least the guy who brought tapping to the U.S. Okay,
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
trust me, tapping has been around for thousands of years. There's nothing
Yes.
new.
Yes.
But Roger Callahan, invented thought field therapy, which was
Yes.
basically like acupuncture, and he would make you memorize 3,000 algorithms. I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
those days.
Vaguely, I suppose.
Right.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
Gary, of course, Gary Craig, God bless him, he was a student of Roger, and of course, he simplified it and made it easy,
That's
And it
right.
sounds like you did the same thing with Larry with BSFF. Is that correct?
That's right.
What would be the sort of time frame or date or incept date or kind of time frame or year where this was happening? I like to give people a sense of the history of our kind of healing community. Go ahead, please.
Well, I came up with the idea for Z Point really in, oh, I think 1999. I decided I had enough with the computer work, and I was stressed to the max, and the inklings of the idea occurred to me over a period, and I basically put it together in 2003.
Okay.
And that's when I started working with people and trying out different things and adapting it and making it better, making it simpler. Because
Hmm.
for me, the best way to do this would be to make it simple and easy so people could learn it quickly
Mm.
and adapt to it.
Mm.
So that basically happened around 2003. And I remember I was using the tapping, and I was using Tapas Fleming's work.
Right.
The pose that was
Right.
very
That's
effective.
brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's she still works well at that kind of stuff, and so I used that in my practice, and I also took some training in hypnosis and past life regressions and things like that, and the idea was to help people. But underneath all that, it was really, and I don't know if you operate from the same principle, but really it was to help myself.
Oh, of course.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's the dirty little secret about tappers is we're
Yeah,
tapping along, and guess what? I'm tapping on me.
yeah, absolutely. So I think we're all born a little crazy in some ways. I don't know. I know I am. So
Right.
it's to find that what it is in me that will open that door, that to a larger body of knowledge or larger awareness, or however you wish to put it.
Hmm.
And as a matter of fact, since I was a small child, that's what I've wanted to do.
Hmm.
I've wanted to find my own awakening. So still looking, you know.
Well, I want to say something and commending you.
Mm,
Now I understand how you went with it, and it's kind of the fact that you described that you had this background in IT or computer
mm,
programming or whatever was the whole concept of a Q word.
yes,
Because the understanding or the discovery that the brain is incredibly powerful
hmm,
and you can use keywords in the same way that you use icons on Windows.
essentially that's true.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the why I thought you were brilliant, okay? Whereas Larry and all the other tappers and Gary and we would have these long command lines,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Long scripts and command lines, but you could reduce them to a keyword
Yes, that's right.
or an icon
Or something simple and
or a
easy to
trigger
remember.
or
A
something
trigger.
a
That's
trigger for whatever you
yeah,
want to call. Since
yeah.
there are, negative emotional triggers,
Hmm.
you can have positive emotional triggers.
That's right.
And then the other thing is and this is where I thought you were a genius. Okay, this is me giving you little
Well,
props
thank
here.
you.
Was the understanding that the brain also multitasks, so you can have
Mhm.
several layers of programs running at the same time, and that's what
That's
actually
right.
is going on anyway. Duh,
Yep,
you
that's
know.
right.
Also, that the brain is plastic and can be
Yes,
reprogrammed.
yes, that's right.
You can run stuff in the background. Okay, you can have the
Hmm.
foreground, conscious and subconscious. Okay, and then the other thing I was going to quell about you, I'm just going with this, is the trigger words or cue words. Okay, but also there was the business of that just we have negative triggers, you have positive triggers, and the business of healing while you sleep,
Yes. Yes.
kind of thing going on. And I thought, wow, and of course the brain has that capacity. The mind has that, we are a lot, the brain, we, us, whatever you want to call it, consciousness is way more powerful,
Totally.
than we give it credit to be. And again, especially when I'm working with clients and there's complex problems and time's an issue, I immediately teach them, a form of Z point, okay, to save time.
Totally. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, so there you go. I hope that's enough quelling from me about how great you are.
Oh, thank you. And I accept all of that.
But anyway, so we're at about 2003, and I think that's where I remember that's probably about the right time frame, because at that point I had was playing around with Larry's stuff. Then I saw your stuff, and of course I held on to the tapping because I felt the tapping. There was something else going on with the tapping besides to me that's just me, okay, and I used to call it ZFT.
ZFT, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But so why don't you say from 2003 on. Why don't you describe some of the situations or cases or challenges or, and again, you don't have to name names, but the kind of interesting situations or clients or cases where the Z point worked, okay? Now, you worked with somebody who had even gotten to the point of images, right?
And there are many different ways of doing
There was
that.
somebody who actually instead had a trigger image, and it was some associate of yours. It was a woman. I can't remember her name. I don't know if she did a workshop with you, but I remember it was in one of your books where instead of a cue word, you had a cue image. Do you remember that? I mean, this is ancient.
I don't. But,
That's like. Well, I still have some memories cells working, but you even covered that, and I thought that I said, wow. Real icons,
Yep. Well, you can use anything as a trigger.
Yeah.
Anything as a cue. It can be a sound. It can be a word. It can be an image, as you say.
Well, that's how we do it anyway,
Yeah, that's how we do it anyway.
Yeah.
It can be absolutely anything that you can associate or remember in your mind. And essentially what you're doing is you're programming yourself to respond to a specific sound, a specific frequency, a specific thought. It can be absolutely anything. And as long as your brain and your memory and your spirit all get together and agree on something and say, this is what I'm going to do when such and such happens, you're golden, essentially. And you can create tremendous change. But the thing with this is it's all bit for me anyway. It's not about the mind. It's about my spirit. I believe, my own personal belief is I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. You've heard that before.
Of course, sure. Yes.
So everything that I experience, everything that I maybe a past life memory, if you believe in such things, which I do, an alternate life experience, anything can trigger positive change or change of any kind. So you just use it.
There was a guy who showed up at he was a physicist, and I'm having a senior moment now about his name, but I'll probably remember it at the end. Maybe you remember him. He was a physicist. He was an absolute Stanford University nuclear physicist, you know what I mean? A bomb maker kind of guy, who had gotten disgusted with the military-industrial complex, right, had retired, and started making the connections between our community and like physics and mathematics and science, okay? And he stood up at one of Gary's workshops and said, the human endomorphic energy system is measurable, and then he went into angstroms and wavelengths, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then he says it's 2 meters wide by 3 meters high and is not limited by time or space. And then he said it's connected to everything. And
Yeah,
some of you may call it the soul, the spirit, etc., yada, yada, yada,
yeah,
yada.
yeah.
And we all went, you know, I mean, like I said,
Mm.
this absolute NASA type, you know what I mean, JPL type character shows up, and he's further ahead than we are. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
But
And
go ahead.
people are talking about dimensions now, if you
Exactly. Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
physics. So,
Yeah.
and just I was watching something tonight on television, and they
Hmm.
were saying there is going to be a major announcement over this next while about a breakthrough in physics having to do with different dimensions.
Sure. Well.
We've been talking about that for years.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
So let's continue on. Z Point 2003, and sort of the types of cases, challenges that you found interesting,
mm,
or, you know, Dr. C's casebook. Go ahead.
well, I think over time I've spoken about just about everything and looked into just about everything,
Right.
mostly having to do with trauma
Hmm.
and how trauma affects us. And I was talking to you about trauma and how I had. I was down in Peru. I was doing some teaching down there.
Right.
And when I came back, I realized I went for a routine checkup and I had an aortic aneurysm
Right.
amongst three other issues to do with my heart.
Hmm.
And I was put into the hospital, and some um, four separate procedures later, uh, I almost died during that process and for a time. And that the anesthetic or the trauma of it it's like taken a lot of my memories and kind of put them in the back burner. Now sometimes I can remember things that have happened, but my memory literally is still coming back.
Uh
It's
huh.
quite so a lot of things I don't remember unless I'm prompted or I meet someone who says, "Ah, do you remember the time?" Well, oh yes, I do,
Mm.
but it's all new stuff to me now.
Oh,
So
okay.
mm,
Well, so what are you doing now? What are you doing today? You said you're studying some new material. You're incorporating some new techniques and skills.
mm. I'm what's the lady's name? It's oh good. I wanted to write it down because uh, names have a difficult thing for me here. Hold on. Oh, Dolores Cannon. You familiar with that name?
Like I said, it's rung a bell, but I forget stuff too. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's more things that you
Quantum healing.
quantum healing.
See,
Very good.
the one brain cell I have left that's working just
No,
remembered.
you still got plenty of brain cells working. Don't worry. It's the memory cells that are the problem. So, but it's about being in the present moment. And it seems in 2018 when, and that's what's happening for me. I'm realizing I'm very more focused in what's happening right now rather than what happened 25 years ago or cases that I worked on. I go into my book, say, oh,
Mhm.
I did that. Okay, well, great. And if I think about it, I can remember it, but what's the point?
Mhm.
Because I'm kind of on the leading edge of where I am at all times
Right.
and thinking about different or better ways to accomplish what I used to take a lot of time to work on before.
Mhm.
Suddenly I'll get an idea and say, oh, let's try that.
Mhm.
And my years of experience provide that access to new ideas.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Awesome.
Okay,
All
good.
right. So at this moment, you're in the skunk works. Is that kind of where you're at right now?
I'm in the skunk works, and the idea behind Dolores Cannon's work is that she developed a way to put people into a very deep state of trance,
Mm-hmm.
where they could quite literally access aspects of the so-called higher self,
Mm-hmm.
um, and heal people, help people instantly heal from serious diseases such as diabetes. And um, the idea is to allow our higher self to um, to heal our bodies and our spirits and our minds and very quickly and very effectively. Anyway, that's the direction I'm going in right now.
Well, that sounds fascinating, and I can't wait to hear from you about when you're ready to put it out on the hang your new shingle and let everybody know about the new improved, as it were. But I think everybody here is probably a fan of Z Point.
Yes. Well, it all ties together.
you know.
It's
So
it's
perhaps this might be a moment to either ask from the people who are present
hmm
if anybody has either a question for Grant, or perhaps Grant could demonstrate a Z point treatment for if there's anybody who wants to volunteer. So,
so.
now there is a way to raise your little blue hand. Some of you guys know how to do that, and if you don't, then the next thing to do is to appear on camera, as it were, and raise your hand. Uh, if you know how to do that, there's also a chat button. Okay, in the Zoom client as well,
hmm
where you can type something and I'll notice that you type something. So, does anybody want to check in? Now, you can also pipe up and just say hi and say your first name and ask Grant a question. Go ahead, please. Hello? Nobody has any questions for Grant?
Well, let me pick somebody then. We've got Karen, and
Hi, Karen. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
good.
Do you have any questions or observations? You've been around the community for a while, Karen. Do you
Yeah, I
remember?
have been.
You remember Grant? Do you remember Larry as well, the Larry
Yeah,
Nims?
yeah,
Okay.
I do.
So, what do you want to
What
know, Karen?
what do I want to know? Um,
Everything.
yeah,
Of course, of course.
I don't know. Let's give a demonstration on Z Point.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is there something that would require treatment or resolution, or Grant, you have something simple like something simple that one could offer generally to somebody?
Well, the first thing is that ZPoint requires that you have a healing program installed. Very simple, and have a keyword or an activating word. So I'm going to very quickly read the healing program, and I always read it because I don't want it to change one little bit because it works. And so if you just kind of relax for a sec, is I hereby set a powerful intention within you, my subconscious mind, to affect the best of all possible outcomes by this clearing. And each time I notice a feeling that does not feel good, as I think certain thoughts or remember certain people, situations, or events, you will gently and easily eliminate that feeling completely as I repeat my cue word over and over, and you will eliminate everything I feel because of it, everything I feel that connects to it, and everything I feel that has resulted from it to whatever extent it exists within me. And Z Point deals with feelings, right? Feelings determine beliefs and attitudes. And when we change how we feel about something, we also change what we think is true about that, including ourselves. So tell me, Karen, what is it that you want to talk about?
You want something? You want this to be simple?
Simple, sure.
Um, well, I don't know if anything is simple. All right. Well, currently I'm starting new programs in equine assisted psychotherapy,
Interesting. Okay.
and I'm feeling blocked because I'm feeling like, oh my God, it's so much work.
Mm,
So I wouldn't say that I'm lazy, but I'm feeling a little bit lazy in getting started.
okay. Lazy and facing the big unknown, is that what it is?
Yeah, maybe it's fear. Forget the
Yeah.
laziness. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fear. I would think it's fear.
yeah, it's fear. I have to. It's like starting. I'm in private practice now as a therapist, and I do a
Mm,
lot of EFT and EMDR and
hmm
TFT. Um, So yeah, I'm feeling a little blocked. Like whenever I start anything new, the same. It seems like no matter how many
There's a
decades,
pattern. There's a pattern there.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a pattern here. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I can't do it.
Mm.
Uh, it won't work out, and yeah, that kind of
And
stuff.
as
Yeah,
you said, now one more housekeeping thing. Do you have a typical word that you use, cue word? Do you use Z point at all?
I don't use Z point,
Okay.
but that will change maybe after tonight. But,
It might. It might.
yeah.
So typically, I assign the word yes because yes, I want to let this go. It's a simple thing. Yes, I
Yeah,
want to
yes,
let.
it's like it's old.
Yeah, it's time
Yeah.
to move on. That's right. So whenever we're going to assign the word yes. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is feel that feeling of it's almost like a resistance. There's a fear of moving
Mhm.
forward. And typically people feel that right here in their chest. Do you feel it there? That tension or tightness in that area when you think of moving forward, of that laziness
Yeah, where I usually feel things is in my back. It's like directly behind my heart.
directly behind your heart.
Yeah.
So as you sit there right now, can you feel that feeling thinking about moving forward?
Yeah, the like, oh my God, I can't do it. It's not going to work
Mm,
out.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm
So that
now what comes up is like I'm too old. Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
But
Okay.
yeah, so that's what it's like, oh no, I'm starting a whole new venture in like yeah, just oh my God.
And it feels almost feels like you're tired already.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to shift that feeling of being tired, that feeling of being blocked. And when we do, we shift the beliefs and attitudes that create it essentially.
Hmm.
And we hold that feeling in our body, in our cells, in our ligaments and whatever. So I'm going to ask you to really feel that feeling in your body as we talk right now.
Hmm.
And that idea, oh, I'm old. I don't know if I want to face this. I don't know if I want to spend the time learning all this again. Can you feel that?
Hmm.
So I'm going to take you through the process, and what I'm going to ask you to do is simply repeat your cue word to yourself. Yes, 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 yes. And
Mm.
you're saying yes to letting that go,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, and I just went to a talk by Dan Siegel on the yes brain, so it's yes
Yeah,
is
very
good.
good. Coincidental, huh?
Yeah.
Serendipitous. I like that word.
Yes.
Okay, so just allow yourself to feel that feeling in your back that it's like it's holding you back. It's
Yes. Yeah.
yes, that's right. So I'm going to basically I'm going to count down from 10 to 0, and I just want you to say or repeat your cue word to yourself as I count you down, and we'll start with 10, 9. Hey Tony, can you turn your mic off? Would you mind just? Perfect. Thank you.
I'm just saying yes, that's all.
Yes. Good. Okay. 8. And you still with me, Karen?
I'm still here.
7. 6. And I feel some emotion there as well. Why can't I do this? And thoughts of that nature. 5. And being hard on yourself, actually. 4. And all that goes into the releasing circle as well. 3. 2. 1. And I can feel that, not a tightness, but a kind of a blockage in your chest area. And 0. I clear all the ways I feel that way. And just
Should I
repeat your cue. No,
should
just
I say
repeat your
that?
cue. No,
Okay.
no, it's going in already. You just need to repeat your cue word. I clear all the ways I feel that way because, and we're going to intend all the becauses too. because of this, because of that, all the memories you have of feeling that way, all the becauses, the reasons, and just repeat your cue word. I clear all the ways I feel that way whenever. And again, we'll just leave the ending blank, and we're going to put our attention on all the whenevers, whenever this happened and whenever that happened. That's what I mean. This is like a computer program. I clear all the ways I may feel that way if, and just leave the ending blank. Just repeat your cue word, please. I clear all the ways unconscious and other parts of me feel that way, that weight on my back. And just repeat your cue, please. I clear all the ways I feel that way whenever. I clear all the ways unconscious parts of me feel that way, feel that weight on my back. I clear all the ways these parts of me wouldn't feel safe if I let go of my attachment to feeling that way. And just keep repeating your cue word, please. And that makes me feel. And we just leave that blank, the ending blank. And that makes me feel. And that makes me feel. And feeling that way makes me feel about myself. That's right. And just take a big, big breath, please. And let it go. And that's a round, essentially. It takes between 4 and 6 minutes to do a round, and typically we do a number of rounds during a session. But what I could have done is ask you how that felt on a scale of 0 to 10, how intense that feeling of that weight you're carrying around felt to you when we started. Where is that feeling now?
I would say it was a 10 when we started, and it's a 5 now.
Okay, so can you put your attention on the remainder of that feeling? And if any memories come up or that were triggered by that round as well, we can intend those memories, those ahas, as it were, to go into the releasing circle as well. And we'll just intend it all in and count it all down again from 10. And just repeat your cue as I count you down, please. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And 0. I clear all the ways I feel that way. I clear all the ways I feel that way because, and we'll just leave that ending blank and just repeat your cue word, please. I clear all the ways I feel that way whenever. I clear all the ways I may feel that way if. I clear all the ways unconscious parts of me remember feeling that way. I clear all the ways these parts of me remember feeling that way because. I clear all the ways I feel that way whenever. I clear all the ways I feel that way because. And just take a big breath and let it go, please. Thank you, Karen.
Thank
Do you remember, pardon me?
I said thank you.
How does that feel now?
Feels better. It's probably down to about a 3.
Okay. Do you remember an event or a circumstance in your life where there was a trauma or you felt that same sense of fear in your stomach about starting something new?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And is it related to what you're doing now?
No, but it's about performance.
About performance, and you didn't feel
Yes.
you measured up in some way?
I didn't. I fell on stage. I was a little kid doing acrobatics,
Okay.
and
So,
I fell on stage.
and did you hurt yourself?
No, but I was completely humiliated. I remember crying backstage forever.
Okay. So can you remember what that humiliation felt like?
Yeah, it was horrible, actually. But for me, it was horrible. But no one knew why I was so hysterical.
Of course.
It didn't seem like it registered with anyone else that I fell. I was like completely humiliated.
Well, those memories are still there in yourself.
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah.
I've tapped on them. This particular incident, I've tapped on it, but I think it's still there about performance.
Yeah, I think so. The humiliation.
Yeah, yes,
And
exactly.
so on a scale of 0 to 10, what does that feel like right now as you remember that
As I
humiliation?
remember, it's high. It's like a 9.
Okay. And do you feel a warmth or a flush in your face as we talk about this?
No, no.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So let's intend that humiliation, that feeling of embarrassment, and how that felt in your body and how it felt about going out and facing your friends again or the audience, that feeling of humiliation. And we'll just intend it into the releasing circle,
Okay.
and we'll count it down from 10. And just repeat your cue word to yourself. 9. 8. Keep repeating your cue, please. 7. 6. And just take a deep breath as we do this. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And 0. I clear all the ways I still feel that way. I clear all the ways I still feel that way because. Thank you, Tony. I clear all the ways I still feel that way whenever. I clear all the ways I may still feel that way if. I clear all the ways unconscious parts of me still feel that way. I clear all the ways these parts of me still feel that way because. And that makes me feel. Repeat your cue, please. And that makes me feel. And that makes me feel about myself. And just take a big, big breath, please, and let it go. Okay. How do you feel now?
Well, as I was doing that and saying yes, and I feel my back opening up, and yeah, other thoughts had come up, and then one thing that had come up, I mean, the more you peel away,
Yes.
self-punishment. It's like it gets deeper and deeper and heavier, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's like, woe back, you're on a horse, woe back, you're not letting yourself move forward because you're punishing yourself.
You're also safer if you don't move forward.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So all the ways
Can't
that you
fall
feel,
again.
yeah, you'll fall again. That's right.
Yeah.
All the ways that you feel unsafe, and just allow that feeling of unsafeness to go into the circle, and all the ways that you carry that feeling and that humiliation and all of it together, and how all of that feels into the circle, and we'll count it down from 10. Just repeat your cue word, please, Karen. 9, 8, 7, as we go deeper and deeper into those feelings. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. I clear all the ways I still feel that way. I clear all the ways I still feel that way because. I clear all the ways I still feel that way whenever. I clear all the ways I may still feel that way if. I clear all the ways that feeling that way makes me feel about myself. And that makes me feel. And that makes me feel. And feeling that way makes me feel about my work. And just take a big breath. Let it go, please. Do you still feel that fear in your stomach?
Well, I don't feel it in my stomach. It was in my back.
Okay. I felt it in your stomach, actually. instructions.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you kept. Do I still, it's much less. It's not a big block
Mm.
anymore.
Well, try this. What if I could move forward now? And just repeat your cue, please.
Okay.
What if I could let this go and move forward? And just repeat your cue word, please. What if I could just let this go and allow the past to be in the past?
Yes.
What if I could enjoy what I do?
Yes.
Now notice you're yawning here. Yawning is a sign of letting go. What if I could just let all of this go? That's right. And just take a big breath, please. Does that feel better?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you can move forward now?
Yeah.
Any doubt?
Any doubt?
Yes.
I know that whenever I set out to do something, it always works,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't mean that there's doubt there. Like I push through the doubt.
Yes.
So I guess I'm afraid to say there's no doubt. So
That's all right.
yeah.
What if it was really easy to move forward?
Mm.
So just repeat your cue word as I take you through this little process here. What if it was really easy to move forward? That's right. And then just take a big breath, please. And let it go. What if it was really easy just to move forward? And that makes me feel, just repeat your cue word, please. And moving forward makes me feel about myself. And just repeat your cue, please. Okay. So where's that weight on your back now?
It's opening up.
Well, if we were going to, I would say it would take, to completely release that old pattern, it would probably take a session or two.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe you would, completely. And it would be gone. Gone.
Mm. So how can I do that? Can I take a session or two with you?
Sure, you can send me an email and we can set that up, or we can talk. Send me an email with your phone number. We'll talk about it.
What is your email?
Well, I just wanted to say, you can send, he's on Facebook, Grant's on Facebook, okay. So you can send him a direct, through Facebook. Also, I think I posted Grant's website and contact information on the event page, okay. So all that information is within the Facebook arena. Obviously, if you want to provide information, in the broadcast as well, that's fine too. I just want everybody to know that information is available.
Okay,
It's been posted. Yeah. Grant, you did that's a classic Z point. And Karen, you got the deluxe treatment.
I know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's excellent. That is brilliant, Grant. Really, classic, beautiful healing. Again, that was almost a full session. Because we took up the whole thing. I'm sorry to the other people who showed up. They didn't get a chance to But you didn't raise your hand and you didn't pipe up. So Karen got all the goodies. She got all the cookies on the table. But before we wind up, is there anybody who also wants just to briefly ask Grant a question or
Yes.
say anything? Go ahead, please. I guess that's that.
Well, can I ask Hazel, please, to unmute your microphone and ask a question? I just have a feeling about Hazel. Oh, maybe she's...
Oh,
Oh, there she goes. Hazel, go ahead, please.
Hi there.
Hey there.
I didn't put my hand up because it's coming up for 3 o'clock in the morning here. So
Oh,
when
goodness.
you take me through sessions, I sometimes fall asleep and embarrass myself.
Oh, goodness. You calling from Scotland by any chance?
Yes, that's right. Yes, it's me.
Cool. Well, do you have a question, Hazel?
No. I just enjoyed that session. It was helpful for me too.
Good. I'm glad. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
and who's the mystery user? If you just want to say hi and where you're from, that would be nice just to get a sense of the community. Mystery user or Barbara Snodgrass? That doesn't. Is that a real name?
Yeah.
Hi, Barbara. Where are you from?
Ohio.
Awesome. Do you have a brief question for Grant? Because we are at the top of the hour.
No, I've done Z Point before, but it's been a long time, and I just wanted to get back into it.
That's awesome. Well, Grant, if you want to put out either your phone number or your email, that's fine. Go ahead, please.
If you email me at zpointforpeace@gmail.com, again, zpointforpeace@gmail.com, I'll reply and send me your phone number if you want me to contact you by phone, and a good day and time for me to call. And I'm in just north of Toronto, so in the Eastern time zone.
Awesome. And now, mystery user, anything you want to say or ask Grant before we wind down? Now that we got somebody who's chatting. What is that saying? Hello, Grant Nath. This is Mara Georgias. My mic does not work. Great session. Okay, well, thank you, Mara.
Thank you.
And where are you located, Mara, just for fun? So I want to know where everybody is. Let's see if she types in. Hasn't typed in yet. Okay.
That's all right. That's okay.
All right. Oh, Ontario, Canada. There you go. Maria Georges. Gorgeous. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, Grant, I want to thank you for an awesome session and a classic Z Point. I mean,
Thank you.
couldn't have asked for better. You got seriously spoiled, Karen, and I'm jealous.
I know.
But Grant, I just want you to know I was just saying yes in the background there,
I know.
Guys, and I'm sure Grant, when your new modality is ready for prime time, we'll have you back if you'll come back. And
Okay.
guys, I want to thank you all for showing up and participating in our workshop. We have 3 workshops a week: Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, where we feature a healer, practitioner, psychic, or whatever, where it gets to strut their stuff and then answer questions or give treatments. So, guys, I love you all. Grant, thank you so much. And stay tuned to this channel. What can I say? God bless you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
again, Grant.
Oh,
Bye.
you're welcome. Thank you.